Welcome back to Let's Make a Game. In this video I'm going to show you how to give the player choices using links. I have here a very simple example game. It says you are walking down the road when you see a large puddle, and we have two choices that are in the form of hyperlinks, just like you might see on a website. They say walk through the puddle or walk around the puddle. If we choose walk through the puddle, it says the puddle is actually a deep fissure and you fall in and drown, and it's the end. If we restart the game and instead choose walk around the puddle, it says you have avoided a terrible fate. The end. So, not the greatest game in the world, but it does demonstrate how you can give the player multiple choices and set up a choose your own adventure style game. And in fact, that is all you need to make a game in Twine. You can have a pure choose your own adventure style story with no extra programming parts to it. I'll show you how to do extra things later in the series, but this is all you really need. So, how do we do this? Well, let's have a look at the code. Now, I will remind you that there is a link to an itch.io page in the description of this video, and there you can download the code that we use in this video, and I'll be adding the code that I use in videos to come. So we have a passage which, when you start a story, the first passage is always called Untitled Passage, I think it is, and we can rename that by clicking into the passage and going rename and then calling it whatever we want to call it. If we want to have just normal text, we just need to type it. You are walking down the road when you see a large puddle, and then we have this sort of specially formatted text. And it works in the following way. You have two of these square brackets. Then you have the text that is going to display on the screen to the player when the game is played. Then you have this vertical character. Somebody once told me what that was called, but I can't remember what they told me. Anyway, it's above the enter key on your keyboard usually. Then you have what you want to name the passage. So instead of having a passage called walk through the puddle, which is a bit large and clumsy, I just called it through. And instead of calling it walk around the puddle, I called it around. Call it XXX, for example. And if we add that, you can see down here that it automatically creates a new passage called XXX, or whatever we make on this side of the vertical character. Now, you don't have to have those two sections. You can have just one. Thus, and that will display the text destination, and it will also call the passage destination. But I find that usually I want to name the passage as something else. The other thing I will say is that you can link to already existing passages. So let's say, for example, that we wanted to change around the puddle. Instead we say we want to give the player another chance. We could say go back and walk through the puddle, and we could send that to through the passage that we already created. And you can see, and then we have another choice, which is decide not to and no. And you can see that the first choice goes to the existing passage through, and the second one goes to this new passage no. There's no text in it. I have to get in there and add whatever text I want. And that is really the basics of what you need to create a Twine story. So I will leave it there for now. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.